Quiet down, everyone. We got a lot to cover today. Welcome to DataTier.net 101. My name is Cody. Get it? Cody? I will be explaining things to you kind of fast, so try and pay attention. You just might learn something. Hi and welcome to this walkthrough for DataTier.net. In this video I'm going to show you how to create a data tier using DataTier.net for a MVC website that uses all store procedures. Now what I'm building, just to show you very quickly, is this is the DataTier.net website I'm building. It's a one-page website I was just building as a demo, but I probably will publish it because I own the domain name and it's just sitting there. I thought it'd be an interesting demo if people wanted to enter their email address whenever I release a new version on GitHub. If they've entered their email address and they followed me on GitHub, just because this is unauthenticated users and just to kind of slow down any bots or really bored people, but also because of the fact I only have 2 followers, so I was trying to get a few more followers. But anyway, it's just a demo project though, so whether anybody will actually sign up it doesn't matter. So what we're going to do first is create our project using Visual Studio. So I am going to create another instance. I am going to create a new project. If you're using Visual Studio 2017, it's going to be slightly different. Just browse for the C# folder. But here I'm just going to create from the template. It's the same thing, just a little bit different screens. And we're going to call this website.datalib. Just as a And I'm going to paste this in I'll browse for my GitHub project, Data Juggler, DataTier.net, samples. I already have this folder here, so I'll create it here. And that's going to create the 4 projects that make up your template. This was very similar to what was in the previous video, except we're going to go a little bit further with this one. Let me expand all the projects, collapse them, and we'll build. Okay, so everything builds. Now we're ready to go to SQL Server and create our database. So I am going to just say new database. And I'm going to call this DataTier.net.website.database. So it's very similar to the other name, but and I'm going to change this. You can leave your default folders if you want, but I have a folder called CData that I prefer to place all my databases in. And I'm going to go ahead and just create. So our database has been created. I'm going to show you briefly in the repo where I already have it here. This is the location if you want to look at this relative to where you downloaded the repo. But this is if you want to pause the video for a second. This is where I'm going to execute the tables. So this is we're going to go ahead and execute. Now you'll notice I'm doing a drop and create. So the first time I'm going to get an error, but if I run it again, the errors won't show up. So it's not really an error. It's just doesn't do an if exists check. Now we have just to show you briefly, we have our tables created, but there are no store procedures in this database yet. Just to show you I'm not doing any trickery. And now what we're going to do is go to DataTier.net and create a project. So I'm going to create, I could open excuse me, let me minimize about 100 things I got open. I will just go ahead and hopefully if you watched the previous video you will have seen this already, but here is the DataTier.net solution. I'm going to open a 3rd instance of Visual Studio, so my machine can luckily handle it now. Older machines would have died. Alright, so I'm going to just run the project. I could have also ran this through the exe, but since you're watching, I thought I would run it through Visual Studio just to show you what we're doing. Okay, and here just to show you, this is my current, these are the projects that I sometimes build. And we're going to just create a new project. I'm going to call this project DataTier.net.website.datalib. And again, I've already showed the help for this, but I'll show it one last time. The project folder is the folder above the 4 projects in your template that we just created. So I'm going to browse for that now. Go to this PC, GitHub, datatier.net, samples, data lib, and here's the folder, because the folder above the 4 projects in the template we just created. And I'm going to hit next. I'm going to add a database that we just created also. So I'm going to type in my server name, and I'm going to hit refresh my databases list, and I'm going to select the datatier.net.website.database and hit save. And I'm just going to go ahead and build at this point. Now, being this database only has 3 tables, it's going to be lightning fast compared to some larger tables. And if there's anything you want to exclude, just uncheck here, uncheck any tables or fields. But for now, I'm just going to save everything, and I want to go ahead and build once just to show you. So we're going to go ahead and say build all, and it will be much faster with just a few tables. Okay, it's going to go right into the include project files. It clicks that, I now click that for you. So we're going to browse. This is the solution. I've already browsed for this. This is probably my 2nd or 3rd, 4th take on this video. Okay, and now we're going to click update project. Okay, so all this we've shown in the previous video, but it's about to get interesting, so hang on one second. What we're going to do is execute our store procedures, and just as in case you watched the last video, I made a big blunder about the 18-minute mark that said make sure you have the right database selected, and then I selected the wrong database because it was 5 a.m. and I was talking, but mistakes happen. But we'll go ahead and just we just created these store procedures, so now if I refresh this list, we now have store procedures. So this is all these standard store procedures. And now we're going to do two things that I haven't shown yet. First, I'm going to show you how to create an enumeration in datatier.net. I'll go ahead and reload all just to show you what we just built. Here's all the files. I can go ahead and delete this. It's not needed. One day I'll build a tool to remove those, but it's not really a high priority for me. And now, so we have everything built, and here's the gateway. I'll just show you briefly the gateway method. And okay. And notice some of these, when you open your project from a template, some of the indentions get messed up. That's only for the methods that were already there, so you can leave it or fix it if you want. And that's the everything there was code generated. Notice all these methods are in alphabetical order. Not that that really matters, but for code generated code, I think my code, I'll put my code generated code up against just about anyone's, as far as at least coding style, whether it works or not. You can tell me your own opinion, but I think it's pretty neat. So now we have everything built. We are now ready to create an enumeration, which is in the object library, enumerations. All right, and here's the sample enum that comes with your template. It's just here as an example. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this, and I'm going to say public enum, and I'll call this notification type enum. I don't know how that space got typed there. And I'm going to extend integer or inherit or whatever that is. And we will now say unknown equals 0, subscribed equals 1, and unsubscribed equals 2. This is just a demo. I won't even regionize it, which is really, really hard for me, but I'm on video now, so try to go a little faster. So now we have our enumeration created. We're going to go over and edit our project. Click on the enumerations button, click on add, and I'm going to type in the field name, which is notification type, and the data type is notification type enum. So it's kind of similar to this example here. I'm going to hit save, and now I'm going to build, and I will show you what's going to happen. This is going to rebuild, and everywhere that it was an integer is now going to be a data type of notification type enum, but we're going to get one error. Also notice the include project files button didn't have to be clicked there because no new files were added. It was just a rebuild. Alright, so now that we are back at our project that we're building, you will notice that it's going to give us an error now. I'm psychic, but I've done this before. So we're going to look at our errors list, come down here. You'll notice notification type enum does not exist. If you look up here in the using statements, there's no references. Now you could manually fix it, but this is the data class, so the next time, if you said using object library.enumerations, that would fix it, but we're going to take this out because if you rebuilt again, that would not solve it, and you would have to do it for every table, and if you had lots of tables, that would be very manual. But there is a solution, have no fear. Edit project again. This time we're going to go to data objects, and we're going to edit the using statements or references or whatever you want to call them. So we're going to call this object library dot enumerations. Hit save, and we will copy that to my clipboard just to, because I have to do this one other place. Go to the readers, and I'm going to do this here also. So I'm going to add one more. And my AC is about to come on, so my audio quality is going to go down, but I live in the south and it's hot already in May. So, okay, so now we have all that saved. We're going to build. And this time, alright, so now we're going to go back over to our little data lib project, and now you will notice notification type enum is filled in, but not just for this class, it's for all of the classes in here. You could open up history, and that would also have it. So that is how you create an enumeration, and now I'm going to take a sip of Coke, and we're going to create our first custom method. So let's do that now. We're going to click on the Manage Data button. I'm going to select the notification table. Now I'm going to show you very quickly the Manage Methods and the Add button go to the exact same place as the Create New Method button. It's just kind of a shortcut. I created the Create New Method use case first, and then came back and did the Manage Methods, and the Add button just goes with it. So that's why it's in two places. Alright, the method type, in this video we're going to create a find by method, and what we're going to do is search by the email address, because I wanted to make sure before we add somebody, I want to just check if they already exist. I realized I could do a constraint, but this is just a demo. Now you have a couple of choices here. You could do the field set, which is just a combination of fields, but I'm not going to go into creating a custom field set yet. We're going to select single field. I will disclose that the no parameters option has not been implemented yet. It's on my to-do list, but I just haven't done it. This is actually, the single field is probably one of the most common. So in the find by, I'm going to find by email address. Notice all these names are completed for you. You can change it if you like, if you have your own prefix or suffix or naming convention your company makes you use. You can do whatever you like. Should work. The update on build is actually a neat feature also, because it lets you take your next time you rebuild, if you added a field or changed your fields in your database, it will update your select list and rebuild next time you build with datatier.net. And the order by, in full disclosure, on a find by should not even be visible, because you're ordering by a list of one. So whatever way you want to sort it, you're going to get about the same thing, but I haven't made that hidden yet. So for delete by, and for delete it is actually hidden, I think. Nope, I didn't do that either. So that's on my to-do list. But anyway, so all this is still here. We're going to go ahead and hit next. This is the confirm changes control. This is basically just saying, hey, I'm going to update your project, but before I do, I want your permission to make sure I'm updating what you think we're updating. Everything got updated, and now we're ready to get to the store procedure. So this is probably why you came. Or at least I say it gets more interesting towards the end in this video. Excuse me. Now by default, You know, it does do an if exists before it creates it, so if you're doing this a second time, you don't have to worry about, oh, it already exists or not. And here's your store procedure. Now, by default, I make you copy it to your clipboard and go over to SQL Server Management Studio or go over to your DBA or whoever on your team has access to your store procedures and say create this. But if it's just you on your test machine, which is most likely what's going to be the case, then you just you can insert it into SQL Server, and we just did that here. So now I'm going to go back over to SQL and just show you that just updated this. But here's our, let me refresh our list of store procedures. And now we have our, where is our notification find by fucking email address? Hang on. Okay. Notification. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Pretend you didn't just see this. I am going to edit this method because somehow when I changed the, it's one of the things I explained in the help. If you get to the point where something goes wrong, just start over. So this is actually just a good way to show you the delete does work. We'll start over. I tried to change something and show you while I was in talking, and I'll just go straight to creating it without talking this time. There. Everything is updated, and here's something else that you might find when I do. This time you'll notice, oh, it didn't show it. It was supposed to show you that these objects already exist. I don't know why that didn't work. We'll work on that. We're going to insert. Okay, so now we have our store procedure created. Let's go back over to SQL Server Management, refresh our list, and the store procedures. Here's our find by email address. So it did work the second time. The first time I switched around while I was talking. So always forgive me when I'm making videos because I'm not a very good presenter. Alright, so now we have everything created. We are going to go back to our website project and actually show you how to finally use all this. Now, I cheated a little bit because my first videos went really long. But what we're going to do is add our 4 projects to our website that we just created. So this is the samples folder that we've been working in. Here is the, okay, samples. Go down here. Let me make this window a little bit bigger so you can see it better. There, sorry. Okay, data access component. The one good thing is at least opens up the, after you browse for the first folder, the rest open up to at least the correct parent folder, which coincidentally is your project folder of your project. So that's the good news. Alright, so now we have everything added to our project. We are going to come over to here and add our references back. This is in the website, so all we need is the object library and the gateway. The gateway talks to the data access component and the application logic component. So now we have this. We are going to build just to make sure. Adding a reference shouldn't change anything. And we're going to come back over to our, let me go to our index first. And I kind of cheated just to make this video go a little faster. I just commented this out. This is going to be the model for this page as a notification. And just pretend that when we come over to the controller method, excuse me. Okay, so now we have, here is these references. I just left them there so I didn't have to type them in, but these are the references that we, so you can just browse for your project references, and you can always add references to whatever you need. Alright, now we're in the sign up method, and once again, I cheated to save a little bit of time, to save you watching me type, but basically, the notification, okay, oh, here's what it is. Pretend that the model we're passing in is an instance of a notification, so that's the only reason that didn't compile. And you don't have to know this, but these 2 classes here, the null helper and text helper, are part of this class. Excuse me, this project, datajuggler.core.ultimatehelper, and it comes free in your repo. So it's just something you can do, and it has up to 4 overrides here and 5 here. So there. So that's, sorry. Now this is the part that I was telling you, if you've ever explained or worked with lambda expressions, I would just bet that explaining how to do this to a newer developer is easier. Excuse me, calling this method here. So all you're doing is passing in the email address. And if it doesn't exist, then what we're doing, we're calling save, and you're passing in save by reference. So by the time this comes back, you can just test for new, and I'll just briefly go into the implementation of that. All it is if the ID is not 0, then isNew is going to be false. But if the ID is less than 1, then ID is true. And that's just a way to, that's how the save method knows to call insert or update. If it's an identity generated primary key, you get this property. So anyway, that's all I'm going to show in this video, but this is the gateway. This is actually the, it takes a little bit of time to set up the data tier for a project the first time, but then after you have it set up, rebuilding, you can, it's pretty simple to do maintenance. I've worked with Entity Framework now for long enough to, my opinion, this is just a simpler method. And my biggest pros over this, over EF, is that you're calling a store procedure. So if you ever need to do more, you need to do a calculation, or, sometimes you can, whatever you need to do, it's all done in one trip. Where in EF, sometimes it'll load a lot of data that I don't want, and I'm sure better people than me are better at controlling. But the project I inherited at my day job uses lazy loading, and there's times I just test for null, and next thing you know, I've loaded all the child objects, and I just prefer this. But I realize EF has a lot of the change tracking that everybody likes. But I'm the only one that's worked on this so far, so with your help, if you like it, it can get better. Thanks for watching, and let me know what your thoughts are. If you like it, hate it, what you think it could do better. Let me know. So far, I've been the primary developer, so with your help, we can do more. Thanks for watching.